Hello again. We are back in doing another little short video. Hadn't done one in a while, but it's something I've been looking at. It seemed to be popular with Christians and something discussed by Christians, and a lot of people in America don't differ on it. But for Christians, I thought we'd clear up this here little thing about immigration, illegal people into the country, and how Christians view it. I understand lost people are not going to agree with certain immigration policies, but Christians shouldn't have no problem. What I thought we would do is show Christians that for them, it shouldn't be a question of whether a country should have an immigration policy and rule that people should have to come in on and obey and go by. And I'm going to do that by showing that God's original group of people had an immigration policy, a rule that God gave them for people that wanted to dwell among them and be part of Israel, a part of the Jewish nation, or the Hebrew nation, had to abide by. So God's immigration policy is what we're looking at, and that's what I'm gonna name this in a little short video. God had an immigration policy, and we're gonna show you when it started and where it can be found for his original group of people that he turned into the nation of Israel. And we'll go back to when he first called them out of the group and gave them this policy of people that were non-Jewish or Hebrews, what was required for them to dwell among them and be part of their nation. And we'll find that first mentioned when God first gave his policy for his people, Christians, saved people, God's people. We'll go back. We find that first one. We'll look at that, and it's found right here in Exodus. So Exodus is where we're going to go. Exodus 12:43 through 51 is when, just as God was getting ready to call the Jews, the Israelites, out of Egypt, he established something that he wanted them to go by and to do for people that were non-Jewish or non-Hebrew. And we'll see this, and this is just when they're getting ready to leave. You know, as this Passover had took place, the initial Passover lamb and the Passover where that death for the firstborn. Now, Pharaoh finna let them go, and God established something just to get ready to go. Because something you got to keep in mind here, it was more slaves in Egypt than just Jews. So some of the other slaves left out with some of the Jews that actually married Egyptian women. So God had to get this thing straightened out for non-Hebrew people. So that's what he's finna do. So he's gonna establish a rule here, a set of rules that Moses and them have to go by. And he given them to Moses because Moses was a leader at the time. So in 12:43, it said, the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. Thou shalt no stranger eat thereof. But every man servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abhorred out of the house, neither shall you break the bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homebound, and unto the stranger that is sojourn among you. Thus did all the children of Israel as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the self-same day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Now, some specifically I want you to see when God talked about a stranger sojourning among them. A stranger was someone that was non-Israel, a non-Jewish person. He said, now, so if a stranger is going to sojourn among you, it's something you have to do. He's going to have his male circumcised. Let every man servant be bought, and even bought people, or hired servants had to be circumcised. So circumcision was them agreeing to follow the God of Moses or the Hebrew God. That's what they were doing. If they agreed, then they had to have all their males circumcised. That was one of the rules of the law, the ordinances, a regulation that God said they had to do if they wanted to be part of his group. So circumcision was something that they had to agree to. So he said, you'll be circumcised. He said, And 48 is the key verse. And when the stranger sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover of the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. He had to agree to that. Otherwise, he couldn't come out with them. And let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. A person that wouldn't agree could not be part of their group. So God is just telling Moses, when they first bring his people out, people that's non-Hebrew, non-Jewish, that if they want to be part of this nation, a part of your group, they have to agree to have their male circumcised. That was agreeing that they was that was showing the obligation that they were going to follow the God of Moses, and so they had to be willing to keep what the law. He said so. Once they agreed to that, then and they could come out. They had to agree to the first rule. The first rule was, hey, you agree to have your male circumcised? Yes. Well, you can come with us. You don't have your male circumcised? No, you can't come with us. That was one of the first rules. You had to be part of the group. You had to agree that you would circumcise your males. That was non-Jewish people. And verse 49, he said, now once they do that, and they agree, they're going to come out with you. Guess what he said the next thing they had to agree to? That had to be adhered to. One law, 49, one law shall be him that is homebound and to the stranger that sojourn among you. He said, now, not only do they have to agree to accept the circumcision, that they're going to agree to that rule, when they get there, the one law going to apply to everybody. They have to understand that the Jewish law is going to be the same law for every single person that's part of this group. Once they became part of it, wasn't no different set of rules for a non-Jew than a Jew, or a non-Israelite and Israelite. Same law. They all had to agree to go by the exact same rule that every other Jewish or Israelite person. They became part of the group. The rule applied to everybody. So God said, that's how it's got to be. You can't have separate type of regulation rules for different groups of people. They're all the same. They're all one now. Once they agreed, they were under the self-same law. And so it said, and verse it thus did all the children of Israel. So they agreed, and it said they did that. They applied those rules. So this is God's initial immigration policy. You want to leave Egypt and be part of the Israelite nation, you got to agree to have your male circumcised. Okay. And then you got to understand that all the laws apply to everybody. And you don't have a separate set of laws from the Jewish people. We all got the same set. And that was understood. If that not, they couldn't come out. So you see, God established the immigration policy from the get-go. If you want to be part of my people, you must agree to have your male circumcised, and you must understand that one law going to be applied to everybody the exact same way. No, I'm not Jewish and I'm not Hebrew and I should be able to do. No, the same law. And that was the rule. So that's God's immigration policy. Circumcise your males, and you all under the exact same law. The law that God gave Moses was to govern everybody. No one was exempt from it. And if you didn't want to be part of that, then you weren't allowed to be part of the Jewish people. And this was when they first started leaving. They hadn't gotten into the land yet. God gave them this when they were traveling on the way. You couldn't let anybody in that wouldn't agree, that didn't understand these things. Got to circumcise the male, and you got to abide by our rules. That's basically all he said. You got to circumcise your male, and you got to go by our laws. And that was the standard in order to be part of the Jewish nation. And now we'll see later on when they ain't got into the land yet, but they're on their way. My wife's gonna read in Leviticus where this law is reaffirmed. God reaffirmed it. It's why he gave it. He gave it right there in Exodus, but just reaffirmed in Leviticus. Leviticus 19, 33 through 37, you'll see it being reaffirmed.
In Leviticus 19, 33 through 37. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him, but the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, or meter yard, in wealth, in weight, or in measure. just balances, just weights, a just Ephraim, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am the Lord.
So we see this being reaffirmed later on, just to make sure it was established that you, a stranger and sojourn, had to be abide under the exact same rules and regulations of the Jewish-born person. He could not be treated differently. He wouldn't support. Shouldn't be expected to be treated differently. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. He had to follow the law of the Jewish nation in order to be accepted and be part of it. And that's standard state. Now, let's say, if just talk about fairness, 35, you should do no unrighteousness. You got to be fair. You got to treat them the same. Same rule apply to everybody. Because you see that in verse 37. Therefore shall thou observe all my statutes, all the rules and regulations, and all my judgments to do them, and the Lord. All these things apply to everybody that want to be part of this country, a part of y'all nation, a part of y'all group. At this time, they were still travelers, but the priesthood, but started a group. They were part of the Jewish nation, and they had to be treat them fairly. All the rules were the same. They'd be equal to everybody else, but they got to abide by the laws and the rules. No different set of rules and measurements, weights, and one treated different than another. They were all part of God's people, and they had to all accept and abide by the exact same set of rules. Wasn't no such thing as a Egyptian could do what he wanted to do, and some Hittite that came in or whatever, or guy from another country, when he got to be part of it, he didn't have to follow the laws of Moses or the laws of the tribe. That's just crazy. That was what God said. The laws are for everyone that's part of my people, part of my group. And you see it reaffirmed one more time, because we see that he gave it, and they were sticking to this here actual law. And I'll just read, when we go to Numbers 9:14, we'll read this again. Now, the number of the people, we see when God kept reaffirming this immigration law, this is what it is, established that these people had to abide by the rules, that they had to accept what God said. And 14 says, if a stranger, here again, someone that's non-Jewish, shall sojourn among you, okay, he can want to come in, and want to be part of, he want to live among you, that's what sojourn means, and will keep the Passover unto the law. Now, he's going to keep unto the law, and he's going to observe the Passover, which means they agreed to the other stuff, circumcision and all that, because that was originally back there. You had to circumcise your male, you had to be circumcised, of the Passover, according to the manner, according to how God have laid it out. He's going to do it like God told the Jewish people. He was a stranger, he's non-Jew, but he agreed to do it to be part of their people. The manner according to their, so shall he do. Well, if you agree, let him do it. You shall have one ordinance. What does it mean? Law or rule or regulation. One set of rules or regulations. One ordinance, both to the stranger, for him that is born in the land. Every law applies equally to everyone that want to be a part of this group. God immigration policy. You got to circumcise your male, and you got to go by the law of my people. That's the rule. That's the policy. If you didn't want to do that, you couldn't be part of it. You wouldn't be welcome. You couldn't be welcome in and stay there. That was what was required. So God had a simple integration policy for his people. At this time, it would circumcise your males, prove that you're re-obligating yourself to the Hebrew God, and you got to agree that all the laws going to apply to you just like they do every other person that's part of my people. And if you do that, you'll be treated the exact same. He said, for all intents and purposes, you follow these laws, you are part of my people. You are just like a Hebrew person born in the land. That's what he said. It's just like you're born here. What's required to make you a citizen of the Hebrew nation? You circumcise your male and obey the laws that I gave. If you do that, we'll welcome you and we'll make you part of the nation, and we'll treat you equal like one that was born here. So God been had immigration policy for his people ever since he got a group of people together. And nowhere do God say people can come in and do what they want and not follow the rules and enjoy everything the Jews got. and not obligate yourself to me, not follow my rule. No, you get out. You can't come. You can't be a part of it. So God has had a standard for his people, an immigration policy in order to be part of his people. There's certain requirements that have to be met. And he never changed it. So for a Christian in America that's running around talking about they not sure illegals, people that came in illegals shouldn't be kicked out or they have a right to stay. No. God said if you don't come in right and you don't do right, you have no right to be. So Christians should be confused at all about immigration policy. We should be straight. A person that snuck into the country, didn't agree to the rule, didn't come in the right way, have no right to be here. God even said that when he was establishing his first group, his first nation. And God ain't never said that Moses and them couldn't have standards. God gave them standards for people to be part of their community, part of their group, part of the Israelite nation. You can't just come in and just, I got rules. And Moses and them had to enforce the rule. And if people didn't want to follow the rule, you can't come. If you don't want to, you gotta go. You come in, you don't want to obligate yourself, you can't be part. So no Christian should be talking about illegal immigration is fine. That people can come here and not follow our law. That's just crazy. No Christian should be that dumb or that stupid. God said people gonna come in and be a part of my group, I establish a nation as rule they got to obey, they got to agree to, or they can't be welcome. They can't be a part. Moses, Joshua, Aaron, don't you let them in. Tell them they can't be a part of it unless they agree to these ordinances, these laws that y'all done told you. So for any Christian sitting in a church or sitting around talking about, I love the Lord, talking about, I think illegal should be able to stay. No, they didn't come in right. If they didn't come in and abide by the law of the land, you can't be here. God established that with the Jews. And God said every government has a right to do that, to set down regulations for to be part of their community, part of their country. If people don't want to do that, they have no right, and they shouldn't be welcome. So Christians shouldn't be confused. I get lost people. Lost people don't care what God say. I know they don't care what God say about how things ought to be. We talking about Christians that think illegals shouldn't be kicked out of the country, or people should be able to come in and not come in the right way. That's nowhere to be found in the Bible. That's just dumb for a Christian to even say that kind of stuff. So for Christians that's taking these crazy stance on immigration, saying it's not fair, you out of your mind. God had a standard. You want to be part of my people? Here's what you got to do. Moses and Aaron and Joshua, they don't do it. They can't be a part. Don't let them in. Tell them to go on their merry way. But if you do, you're going to be treated fair, you can be treated equal, and you have all the rights and the blessings of my people, and you can be included like anyone that was born in there. And that's how America should be. So America probably, a lot of people don't understand that people that don't come in right have no right to be here and should be told, leave. If you want to be here, come the right way. If you don't want to come the right way, you can't be claiming rights that you have no right to. See, that was just crazy because God said, you want to treat it as one born in the land if you come in the right way. That's right. He didn't say if they came in the wrong way, they were like, well, this illegal come in, have children, they citizens. No, why? God said you can't get the rights of one born in the land unless you come in the land right. He said the only way they got the right like one born in the land is if they came in and followed the ordinances, then they was treated as a citizen. If they wasn't, they had no rights. So I understand a lot of people are going to jump up and down, but for Christians, I'm trying to clear it for Christians. Don't be confused. All Christians should be against illegal immigration. And anyone that come in and don't want to come in the right way, Christians be saying, even our God that we believe in, say you should come into a group or nation the right way. He started with his own people. The certain regulation rules you got to meet. It's a standard. You don't want the standard, you can't be part of the Jewish nation. And America ain't no different. America had that pretty down pat for a lot of years. You don't come in the right way, gotta go. So now people know, oh, you come in the way you want, it's fine. No, you can't break laws and go against what's established and say you got a right to be here. God say that's wrong. See, and these verses prove it. So I just want to clear that up for Christians, just in case any Christians that's on the thinking illegal, that the United States shouldn't tell people that came in here illegal that they got to go, or that they have a right to be citizens. They don't, because you didn't come in right. I got one question I'm going to hold to any Christian. How can you have a legal child if you illegal? All the Christians need to ask themselves and ask that question. How can two illegal people have a legal child? If I'm illegal, my wife is illegal, how are we going to have a legal baby? The baby is illegal because we're illegal. That's like the old illegitimate child thing. You know, and I said, you know, if you had children out of wedlock and you weren't married, they called them illegitimate children. Why? Because for them to be legitimate, you had to be married. Some people still hold to that. A man and a woman had a child, they say he's illegitimate. That's what they used to say, because you wasn't married as a couple, and the child was not going to be legitimate unless you were a married couple. That used to be the standard for marriage. But here again, God had the immigration policy, rules that had to be followed, and for the people to be accepted and be part of the nation. If they didn't want it, they didn't come in the right, they couldn't be part. So Christians shouldn't be puzzled or shouldn't be standing for illegal immigration. People saying it's all right and they should have a right to stay. No, they came in wrong. They broke the law. They didn't follow the regulation. God say, if you want to be part of a group, you have to do it the right way. That's for Christians. A lot of people are going to argue all day long because they don't know the Lord. So I wanted to cover that, especially on this 4th of July weekend, because people that come in and obligate themselves to America is welcome. People that don't come in the right way and obligate themselves to America should not be welcome. It was the exact same way with God's people under Moses and Aaron and Elijah when he first formed a nation. God said you got to have standards. There's certain things required if you want to be part of this group. And if you don't do it, you can't be a part. America should be the same way. And that's how we kind of started out. Now you got people saying it's fine no matter how you come here, sneak in or whatever. You have a right to be here. No, you don't. God said, Moses, they don't have a right to be there. Aaron, they can't be accepted. Unless they're going to circumcise them and agree that all the laws apply to them, they're not welcome. If they didn't agree to that, they were not allowed to be part of the Jewish nation. So I just wanted to do that. So God had an immigration policy. Anybody didn't know that, you need to go back and look at it. I gave you the passage. We read them. And you see God had a standard for people to be part of his nation that they had to meet. If they didn't, they wasn't welcome. They couldn't be a part. And they had no right to be there. And that's exactly how God intended for it to be. And every nation have the right to sit there, to set up those type of standards, because God set up nations and they have a right to make rules to decide who can and can't be part of their community. And that if the people don't want to do it, they shouldn't be part of it. But for Christians, it should be clear. A lot of people, they never going to agree with it. So that's what I wanted to do. And we got a few more little subjects that I saw a while and picked up on that. I hadn't done any for a while, but a few things I think I need to go back and upload a few more, because a few more confusing things Christians seem to be lost and can't figure out that need to be covered. So hopefully this is helpful to you as far as the immigration policy. God had them, and it's just fine for Americans to have them too. And so that's it for this video.